Hello, Gemini. Welcome to your April 2023 astrology predictions. And I know I'm super late, but I think we're still in plenty of time because the big stuff doesn't really start happening until the end of April. So as it stands, when we are entering, middle of April, okay, we officially now have Mercury pre-shadow. Now, what this means is pre-shadow is the 2-week period before a retrograde. And during that 2-week period, this is when he starts to slow down. Now, he is going to start slowing down and he is going to station retrograde on April 21st. That's at 15 degrees of Taurus. And as you can see, we actually have Uranus at 17 degrees of Taurus. So it's just a couple of degree difference. So here we have a planet of destruction and chaos. Well, not so much destruction, but chaos and change and revolution, but also brilliance and insight and massive creativity coming in. I always say Uranus is like the genius planet, okay? And then we have Mercury coming in and completely stopping like right next to him. Okay, so here's Mercury. That's happening like a day and a half after the big eclipse in Aries. So April 19th, 20th, and 21st, it's going to be a very strange turn, very strange time. All right, this Mercury retrograde is happening in your 12th house. Now, obviously, Mercury is your ruling planet. Mercury is not super happy in the 12th because it's kind of an isolated place. It's kind of an imaginative place. It's kind of out of this world kind of place, and it can be all in itself, and it's not necessarily the most productive here. But the good thing about Mercury in the 12th is that it really gives you the opportunity to dream about your life. If you're a big vision board maker, this is a wonderful time to do that. If you're a journaler, this is a time to write in your journal. If you're someone who likes to just be in your own private world and close the blinds and dance, whatever you got to do, or sing at the top of your lungs, this is the perfect time to do that. Because doing those types of activities can really get you out of your everyday life, and it can get you connected to something that's, maybe a little bit more fulfilling, and it can help you opening your channel, opening your vessel to receive some pretty brilliant ideas. Remember, Uranus is like a genius planet. Whenever I look at someone's chart and they have a powerful Uranus, I'm like, oh wow, I already know right off the bat, this person is like smoking smart, right? So there could be something really powerful that strikes you like a bolt of lightning that honestly could change your life. That would not surprise me. I do feel a lot of people are going to have some kind of an epiphany, even if it's seemingly small. I'm not saying we're all going to invent something that's going to change the world or whatever, but it's like some little stroke of genius that is going to shift the way you think, but also be motivating enough to get you to move your body in that direction, to do the things, to take the actions, to check off the to-do list items in order to get that thing accomplished. And even if it's something small, the effects are going to compound over time, and it's going to vastly change this trajectory. Do not underestimate the power of small things this month. They are huge in the long run. We also have Venus coming into your sign. Oh, before we talk about Venus, though, let's talk about the eclipse, okay? So on April 6th, we had the full moon in Libra. Now, normally after a full moon, the moon is going to wane, meaning it gets darker, and it kind of subsides in energy. However, because we are building up to eclipse season, even though the moon is still waning, it's still getting darker. What it's doing right now is it's coming into that alignment. So we have the Earth, moon, and sun for that new moon eclipse, or a total solar eclipse, okay? And because of that complete alignment, right now the lunar energy is intensifying. It's getting bigger. This eclipse is happening at 29 degrees of Aries. Now, for you, this is happening in kind of a good house. I really like 11th house activity. a lot of really good stuff comes through here. 11th house, there's a lot of friendships, a lot of, more platonic or professional or industry or political type of relationships that you may have. And there could be some sort of wave of motivation here for you to really take those relationships seriously and start making strategic relationships, relationships that can be leveraged. And with Jupiter here for the next month or so, Jupiter is going to leave Aries and come into your 12th house in May. So you have a couple of, a month and a half here, or a month rather, to really make some changes and to take some big leaps if you want. I mean, I don't think the 11th house is particularly tumultuous. It just simply isn't. It's not like a karmic house or anything. Not that there really is a karmic house, but you get the idea. So for Gemini, this might not be as intense. I think it's more the combination of your ruling planet with Uranus retrograding in the 12th in combination with the eclipse. Okay, if we didn't have the Mercury stuff going on, you probably, the eclipse would be fine. Okay, but it's more your ruling planet. Okay. We also have Venus coming into your sign, which can be so beautiful. First of all, it can kind of be attractive, where you may be drawing a little bit more attention than you normally do. You may be feeling a little bit more attractive, or you may be just kind of valuing your physical health a little bit, moving your body, going to the gym, going for a swim, going for a run, whatever the case may be, and just really sort of prioritizing that aspect of life. In the interest of our manifestations, and I think everyone has manifestations on the mind right now and will continue for the next 2 years as Pluto kind of makes his weird transition into Aquarius, because we can tell that we're dealing in a new energetic landscape. We can tell that the environment around us is just different. It's different than what it has been. You don't have any planets. Now, Pluto will retrograde back into the 8th, but as it stands, you don't have any planets in the 8th house anymore, which you have had for a long time. So there's kind of this feeling of freedom, and Pluto in the 9th is absolutely going to intensify that desire for freedom and expansion, So here you are really focusing on manifestations because you know that the next 20 years is going to be different than your last 15 years with Pluto in Capricorn. So you're thinking a lot about what it is you value the most and what it is you need to prioritize in your life and what it is that really matters to you and fulfills you and makes you feel like you have some sense of purpose. And Venus is going to help you define that stuff. It's going to help you to make those determinations so you can set a plan or a strategy in place. And with Saturn in the 10th house, I do think Gemini is trying to put together a strategy for their career. And with Mars in the 2nd, also your financial world as well. The big question, how can I apply my skills and talents in a similar way that what I'm already doing, but enhance or increase the value that I'm bringing into the world, and in so doing, increasing my income. And by increasing my income, I can make bigger moves, I can make bigger decisions, I can start associating with better people. And how do I really start to climb that ladder? Of course, Saturn is very much about climbing the ladder. And yes, there is work involved with all of that, but I do think it's work you feel ready to do. You've gone through so much stuff, right? You've gone through the fire of the 8th house. That's no question. You've really gone through it. And so as you feel more and more like a new person, you're going to feel more and more ready to do things that you've never done before. So this eclipse cycle, now keep in mind, all right, this first eclipse, the new moon eclipse, is happening in Aries. And then the full moon eclipse is going to be happening in Scorpio at 14 degrees. So yes, Uranus is going to be somewhat involved with that as well. And that's happening on May 5th. And that's also in a Mars-ruled sign, if I'm using traditional rulerships. So right after Pluto begins his retrograde, which of course Pluto in modern astrology is also associated with Scorpio. So we have a Mars-Pluto quality with that big full moon eclipse, which is the last eclipse in Scorpio, okay? Because after this, the nodes are going to move on to Aries and Libra. Now we will have one more eclipse in Taurus, but this is the end of Scorpio. So this is a time for us to say goodbye. We'll talk more about this eclipse next month, but I want you to know the reason why this eclipse cycle is a lot more intense than normal is because it's Aries and Scorpio, and they are both ruled by Mars. All right, so keep that in mind. That's one of the reasons why we're feeling so like ramped up. And you may not feel it right now at the time of watching this, but by the end of April, beginning of May, you're going to probably really feel it. Or you might feel really tired because it might be draining you because you're kind of in conflict where you say, oh my gosh, but I really want to go do this, but oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Just the thought of doing it might be a little bit draining, but it is ramping you up nonetheless. And honestly, the next 6 months, you are going to be feeling pretty ramped up, okay? Which means a lot can happen. I mean, you can do a lot, you can produce a lot, and a lot of changes can occur, okay? Kind of a big month. You guys, I love you. Have an amazing April, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.